Are you ready to harvest pure terror? Ever feel like you've seen it all? Think again, because these 15 sinister slices of 1960s folk horror are about to flip your cinema world upside down. From windswept moors to pagan rituals, we're digging deep into the dark soil of the decade to unearth twisted tales that still chill the marrow. Then buckle up and let's step into the shadowy woods of forgotten fear. Number 1. The Witchfinder General, 1968. Let's kick things off with a film that drags you straight into the nightmare of Old England, where superstition runs rampant and evil wears a human face. The Witchfinder General takes place during the English Civil War, where Matthew Hopkins, a self-appointed witch hunter, exploits chaos and fear for his own grisly gain. Vincent Price, in what is widely considered one of his most electrifying performances, ditches the theatrics for chilling realism. His cold, methodical cruelty is unforgettable. Directed by Michael Reeves, who tragically died at just 25, the film's production was mired in tension. Reeves fought with Price, censors balked at the film's violence, and the bleak, naturalistic cinematography was unlike anything in British horror at the time. While the movie only made a modest profit initially, it found fervent fans on the midnight circuit and became a touchstone for folk horror as a genre. Today, The Witchfinder General is revered for its raw power, relentless atmosphere, and razor-sharp critique of authority gone mad. If you think old horror can't get under your skin, this one will prove you wrong. Loving this so far? Ready for more? Number 2. Eyes Without a Face, 1960. Next up, a French masterpiece that is as poetic as it is petrifying. Eyes Without a Face follows a brilliant but unhinged surgeon obsessed with restoring his disfigured daughter's beauty, leading to a trail of young women vanishing from the countryside. Edith Scobb's ghostly, expressionless mask is one of the most haunting images in all cinema, a symbol of loss and longing that will linger long after the credits. Director Georges Franju infuses the film with a dreamlike melancholy, balancing delicate beauty with moments of shocking violence, particularly in its notorious surgery scenes, which caused walkouts at its Cannes premiere. Pierre Brasseur and Alida Valli add gravitas to the cast, grounding the film's more surreal flourishes. Initially, critics didn't know what to make of its blend of horror and art-house elegance, but over time, Eyes Without a Face has become a cult favorite, inspiring everyone from Pedro Almodovar to Billy Idol. The film's score, by Maurice Jarre, is deceptively jaunty, making the horror all the more disturbing. It's a must-see for anyone who loves horror with a soul. Are you prepared for the next mind-bender? Number 3. The Blood on Satan's Claw, 1971. Yes, we're bending the rules with this one, but no list of folk horror is complete without it. The Blood on Satan's Claw drops you into a rural 17th-century English village where an unearthed demonic skull triggers a wave of possession and pagan rites among the youth. Linda Hayden is mesmerizing as Angel Blake, the chilling ringleader of the possessed children. Director Piers Haggard battled through script changes and a tight schedule, yet delivered a film dripping with atmosphere and menace, helped by Mark Wilkinson's disturbing score. Production took place in the picturesque but isolated English countryside, which only adds to the authenticity and dread. Although it struggled commercially upon release, the movie's shocking imagery and creeping sense of evil gained a passionate cult following, especially after its rediscovery on late-night TV. Critics now recognize it as one of the pillars of British folk horror, influencing countless films and TV shows with its unsettling blend of innocence and corruption. If you love a slow-burn story with a wicked payoff, this is pure cinematic gold. Craving the next rural nightmare? Number 4. Kurono, 1968. Let's cross the globe to Japan for a haunting folktale that's as visually sumptuous as it is deeply unsettling. Kurono, directed by Kaneto Shindo, tells the story of a mother and daughter-in-law brutally murdered by samurai, only to return as vengeful cat spirits, luring warriors to their doom in a bamboo grove that seems to float between worlds. Nobuko Ottawa and Kichimo Nakamura are spellbinding, embodying both the tragedy and supernatural power of their characters. Shot in stark black and white, with drifting fog and moonlight, every frame of Kuroneko is a living painting. The film's sound design, from the eerie yowls to whispering winds, amplifies the terror. Production was grueling, with the cast enduring cold nights and biting insects in remote locations. But the results are breathtaking. While not a commercial juggernaut, Kuroneko quickly became a staple in international festivals, lauded for its artistry and emotional depth. Today, it's considered essential viewing for fans of Japanese horror and world cinema alike. Still with me? The terror keeps coming. Number 5. Vi, 1967. Now, let's enter the realm of Slavic folklore, where the supernatural walks hand in hand with the absurd. Vi is a Russian horror film based on Nikolai Gogol's nightmarish short story, and it follows a young seminarian tasked with praying over the corpse of a witch for 3 nights, an assignment that devolves into an ever-escalating barrage of demonic forces. Leonid Kuravlyov's performance as the hapless student strikes the perfect balance between terror and humor. The film is celebrated for its groundbreaking special effects, flying coffins, ghastly monsters, and swirling spirits, achieved with ingenuity in an era before CGI. Production was challenging, with the Soviet government frowning on horror films, so the creative team disguised the project as a fairy tale to get it greenlit. Released in the USSR to great curiosity, Vi achieved cult status both domestically and much later abroad, after Western audiences got their hands on bootlegs. It stands today as a rare, vivid example of Eastern European folk horror, brimming with cultural authenticity and surreal, nightmarish energy. Ready to travel further into the uncanny? Number 6. City of the Dead, 1960. Sometimes the most chilling horrors are hidden in plain sight, and in City of the Dead, the terror lurks beneath the cobblestones of a mist-drenched New England town. Christopher Lee stars as a charismatic professor with a secret, guiding a student into the heart of witchcraft and dark ritual. The atmospheric black and white cinematography gives every street and shadow a sense of creeping dread. Despite its American setting, this was a British production through and through, and director John Llewellyn Moxey makes every penny of the small budget count. The supporting cast, Patricia Jessel, Dennis Lotus, Venetia Stevenson, deliver committed performances, making the supernatural all the more believable. The film was cut and re-edited for its U.S. release, which hurt its initial reception, but the uncut version has since found new life on DVD and streaming. Over time, City of the Dead has grown in reputation, praised for its claustrophobic mood and tight storytelling. Fans of Gothic horror will find plenty to love here. Loving this so far? Let's keep going deeper. Number 7. Onibaba, 1964. Few films capture the raw, primal terror of ancient folklore like Onibaba. Set in the sweltering marshes of medieval Japan, the story follows 2 women surviving by ambushing lost samurai, only to be ensnared by a cursed demon mask that begins to blur the line between humanity and monster. Director Kanito Shindo, yes, returning for his second appearance, draws out the elemental fears of hunger, lust, and death, infusing every scene with physical and psychological menace. Nobuko Ottawa and Jitsuko Yoshimura are mesmerizing, their faces etched with desperation and suspicion. The mask itself became legendary, designed to evoke both horror and sorrow. Local craftsmen even reported nightmares during its creation. Shot on location with a skeleton crew, the oppressive heat and ever-present insects added to the film's authenticity, and you can almost feel the sweat and anxiety radiating from the screen. Critics at first were unsure what to make of its blend of art house cinema and raw horror, but today, Onibaba is lauded as a landmark, frequently topping lists of the greatest horror films ever made. Ready for another sinister surprise? Number 8. The Damned, 1962. time to blend genres. The Damned isn't just a folk horror tale, it's a harrowing mix of post-war paranoia, science fiction, and small-town secrecy set against the bleak cliffs of England's southern coast. Oliver Reed plays King, the troubled leader of a biker gang who unwittingly stumbles upon a government conspiracy involving a group of radioactive children hidden in a subterranean bunker. Director Joseph Losey, a blacklisted American working in the UK, brings a simmering sense of social tension and dread. The film's troubled production led to delayed release and major cuts, which initially confused audiences and critics alike. However, the movie's eerie mood, unusual blend of genres, and haunting black and white visuals have made it a darling among cult cinephiles. The soundtrack by James Bernard adds to the air of impending doom. Over time, The Damned has been reevaluated as a prescient, razor-sharp indictment of government secrecy and Cold War anxieties, a folk horror gem with a sci-fi sting. Still hanging in there? Let's keep the chills coming. Number 9. The Witches, 1966. Rural England is back, and this time the horror is dressed in schoolmarm skirts and polite smiles. The Witches, produced by Hammer Films, follows a traumatized teacher who tries to rebuild her life in a seemingly perfect village, only to discover a web of pagan rites and dark secrets simmering just below the surface. The screenplay is by Nigel Neal, the genius behind Quatermass and later The Wicker Man, bringing both plausibility and mounting dread to the story. Fontaine, in one of her last film roles, gives a nuanced, vulnerable performance, drawing viewers into her paranoia. Production took place in real English villages, using their timeless beauty to heighten the sense of unease. Though box office returns were modest and early critics were unimpressed, modern reviewers appreciate the film's slow burn tension and quietly unsettling atmosphere. Today, The Witches stands as an underappreciated classic, a must-see for anyone fascinated by the darker side of the English countryside. Hungry for more hidden terrors? Number 10. The Long Hair of Death, 1964. Prepare yourself for a gothic fever dream from the Italian maestro Antonio Margheriti. The Long Hair of Death is a tale of vengeance, witchcraft, and family curses in a medieval village where a woman is wrongly executed and returns from the grave for revenge. The film is soaked in atmosphere, decaying castles, storm-tossed graveyards, and candlelit chambers, and its visual style is pure operatic horror. Margheriti shot the movie in actual 15th-century ruins, making every shadow and stone ooze authenticity. Barbara Steele's dual performance as both the vengeful mother and her haunted daughter adds layers of tragedy and rage. The production had its share of chaos, from unpredictable weather to costume snafus, yet these hurdles only amplified the sense of doom on screen. While it made little splash at the box office, the movie has steadily grown in reputation among horror fans, who praise its lush visuals and haunting score. If you crave gothic horror with a folk twist, this one is unmissable. Still with us? Let's head east for the next chilling entry. Number 11. Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, 1970. Though technically from 1970, Valerie and Her Week of Wonders is steeped in the surreal, mystical energy of 60s folk horror. Set in a dreamy, fairy tale world that's equal parts innocence and nightmare, the film follows young Valerie as she navigates a landscape of vampiric priests, sinister relatives, and hallucinogenic transformations. Director Jaromil Jirish adapts Vyacheslav Nesval's novel with a kaleidoscopic visual style filled with saturated colors, ethereal lighting, and hypnotic editing. Lubos Fischer's musical score, full of haunting choruses and pastoral melodies, is iconic. Production occurred during a brief political thaw in Czechoslovakia, only for the film to be suppressed soon after. Bootleg copies circulated among cinephiles for years, fueling its mythic status. Critics now regard Valerie as a masterpiece of dream logic, a coming-of-age story filtered through the lens of Eastern European folklore. For fans of the weird and wonderful, this is pure gold. Still enjoying the ride through cinematic history? More nightmares await. Number 12. Incubus, 1966. Are you ready for something truly unique? Incubus is the only folk horror film ever shot entirely in Esperanto, a deliberate choice by director Leslie Stevens to make the story feel timeless and otherworldly. The film stars a young William Shatner as a soldier who stumbles into a cursed village where succubi prey on the lost. The black and white cinematography is stark and surreal, amplifying the story's feeling of cosmic dread. Production was plagued by misfortune, accidents, the disappearance of the original negative, and urban legends of a curse haunting the cast. Released to little fanfare and quickly lost, the film was rescued from obscurity by a French archivist in the late 1990s, and its reputation has steadily grown since. Modern viewers are captivated by its eerie mood, strange language, and poetic weirdness, making it a must-see for genre aficionados. Despite its humble origins and rocky history, Incubus stands as a testament to the inventiveness and audacity of 60s folk horror. Still loving this? Onward we go. Number 13. Black Sunday, 1960. Mario Bava's Black Sunday is the film that launched 1,000 nightmares. The plot centers on a 17th-century witch who is executed by having a spiked mask hammered onto her face, only to rise centuries later to seek vengeance on her descendants. Bava's use of light and shadow is legendary. The black and white visuals are breathtakingly beautiful and deeply unsettling. The film's production was fraught with censorship. Scenes were cut or altered in various countries for their graphic violence, and the film was outright banned in the UK for years. Nonetheless, Black Sunday was a hit in Italy and found a rabid audience on the international circuit. Critics initially recoiled at its brutality, but the film is now universally praised as a gothic horror masterpiece, influencing everyone from Tim Burton to Guillermo del Toro. If you love horror that combines beauty and terror, you owe it to yourself to experience this seminal work. Almost at the finish line, ready for more? Number 14. The Undead, 1960. Roger Corman, the king of drive-in cinema, dives into medieval madness with The Undead. The film follows a hypnotized prostitute who regresses to a past life in the Middle Ages, where she's accused of witchcraft and faces a terrible fate. Allison Hayes, best known from Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, is fantastic as the doomed heroine, while Corman regulars bring their usual charisma to the supporting roles. Filmed in less than a week, using leftover sets from bigger productions, Corman's resourcefulness is on full display. Every cobweb and torchlight feels both recycled and wonderfully atmospheric. The story is a wild ride, blending B-movie fun with genuine chills and a surprisingly poignant exploration of fate and redemption. The film was a modest hit, especially on the midnight movie circuit, and remains a favorite among fans of quirky, inventive horror. If you've never experienced the peculiar charm of Corman's folk horror, The Undead is a perfect place to start. One more thing to go. Are you ready? Number 15. The Shuttered Room, 1967. We wrap up our journey in the windswept marshlands of New England with The Shuttered Room. Based on a tale by August Derleth, the film follows a married couple who inherit a creepy mill with a dark secret locked away in the attic. The cast also features Oliver Reed in a menacing turn as a violent local, injecting real danger into every scene. Director David Green capitalizes on real-world locations, desolate marshes, decaying barns, to create a heavy, almost tactile sense of dread and isolation. The production benefited from a bigger budget than many contemporaries, allowing for elaborate set pieces and a lush score, though the film's ambiguous, slow-burn approach frustrated some viewers at the time. Box office was underwhelming, but critics now see The Shuttered Room as an underrated gem, a perfect blend of rural unease, folk legend, and family curse. It's a final haunting note in our tour of 60s folk horror, and a film ripe for rediscovery by new generations of horror fans. So, cinephiles, how many of these 60s folk horror nightmares had you seen before tonight? Are there any you're racing to add to your must-watch list, or did we leave out your personal favorite? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation burning. If you're as passionate about cinema's hidden corners as we are, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you never miss an episode. This is just the start. Movieverse will be back soon, diving deeper into forgotten gold, cult legends, and uncut gems. Until then, keep your candles burning, your eyes open, and your hearts ready for the next reel of terror. See you in the shadows.